Petra, thanks so much for sitting down with me for this interview. I was speaking to your colleague Nick earlier, and he mentioned that Euroseeds is involved in a project called Gene Beacon about gene editing. Why is that so important for Euroseeds?
Well, specifically Gene Beacon is important because, you know, the NGT discussion, so new genomic techniques, is very relevant at the moment. So, and it's a very science-based discussion as well. And scientists are involved also in the policy discussion. So being involved in scientific projects where we can align with scientists is actually supporting our, let's say, advocacy efforts, which are, of course, science-based as well. And the Gene Beacon project specifically, it takes a kind of a holistic view on the topic. So we have 2 case studies there, one on potato, one on algae, which is, of course, not that relevant for Euroseeds, but still important. And so we have these case studies, and they are kind of assessed from a holistic point of view. So we have regulatory options which will be assessed according to their impact on the technology, on the application of the technology and the take-up of the technology. We have socioeconomic reflections, and we also engage with many stakeholders in this project to get their view and also to assess stakeholder perception. So in this sense, this is a very relevant project which is kind of interlinking our advocacy efforts with science.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Good luck with that. I'm sure you will be heavily involved.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Petra, you mentioned science-based. Sometimes in EU politics, I have the feeling that science is very far away. And I noticed that myself because when speaking to people, I rely on the facts. I share the facts, but that doesn't always work to convince people. What am I doing wrong?
I think you do nothing wrong. It's just, it's not only science and facts which have, let's say, an impact on people or which are taken up by people. It's also beliefs and values, and that creates kind of an information bias. So you tend to believe to people who provide you with messages which are your own beliefs and your own values. So you would really, it's not only the facts that are considered in let's say, decision making. It's also beliefs and values, and that's why, you don't do anything wrong, but there are different other aspects which influence policy making and perception of people. It's and also the source, of course. I mean, if we as industry communicate, we are probably not the most trusted source of information. So there are other sources as well, and that have an influence also on policy making. Yeah.
Sure, interesting. I have to revisit my discussion techniques there and take into account values and beliefs.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Petra, I know that you are following heavily the NBT developments on new breeding techniques and especially the new regulation that has been announced. When can we see some progress there?
Well, it's a long-standing process, you know that. So we have just an impact assessment which is ongoing. The Commission this year did some stakeholder consultations, public consultation, etc. And that all will feed into a policy proposal which is expected for spring 2023. Mm-hmm. So they announced it for Q2 2023. And that would be, let's say, a milestone, of course, in the whole political discussion. But then afterwards, of course, I mean, you know, the European processes. So then it's not the Commission just deciding on the final proposal. It needs to be agreed with Parliament and Council. Mm-hmm. So that will follow the official proposal from the Commission. And that can take also some time. So actually, we do not really expect a final agreed proposal before we have the next European elections in 2024. So the discussion will most likely continue after the elections. So we hope to get at least, let's say, an agreement in Council and maybe a vote in the decisive committee or committees in Parliament, and so that the discussion can continue after we had the elections. But it's a long process. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
exciting times ahead,
Indeed.
but unfortunately it takes a few years.
Yeah, it takes a few years, and of course, I mean, other countries are going ahead. If you have the look around the world, many more countries following similar approaches like the South American countries, exempting certain products from their biotech regulations, and we can definitely, I hope at least, also expect products to come on the market. And then, of course, there's also some pressure on the EU to kind of keep up with the pace other countries set in view of new regulations, and specifically also the UK, of course. I mean, they are the closest to the EU, and they are going ahead. And as far as I understood from our association in UK, they expect a new legal framework already for next year. So that's, of course, another speed which they have implemented here.
Good luck with that. Thank
Thanks.
you, Petra.
You're welcome.